Obviously, we players have to come into the professionals because we can't do everything by ourselves. What are some of the major repairs that you see, such as dents or keys falling off?
So, major dents or major problems on dents are on the head joint. When the instrument is together and the students are moving forward and back and they are, I don't know what they are doing.
Sometimes I don't know that either.
They bang around the music stands, they bang around here, and they have mainly dents in the area of the head joint. Less in the body, less in the foot joint. Sometimes they drop the flute, they could occur a dent in the body or so, but mainly on the head joint. If the dent is in the tube, that's no problem. We can take them off very easily. That's not your work. But if you have a dent here on the lip plate, and that's really, like we say in German, that's a heilig part. So that needs to be careful. If you bend the lip plate here, you might have a bad response. You have maybe some air in your sound you won't have to, whatever, you know. So these dents, or if you drop the head joint, then the joint might be bent and you have to take a mandrel, go in, and with a burnisher you make them again round and put them back on. So that could be a problem. On bends or dents on the body, if you have a dent close to a chimney, that can occur a leaking key, and then you have a bad note or a bad response either, and that's hard to fix again. We have to take off the keys and put the mandrel in and burnish around, flatten the chimney rim and all these things. That's quite difficult, but that's repair work. That's not the teacher's work. What can happen on flutes and student model flutes? A missing screw. As an example, this screw here on the right hand is falling off, and that's a tiny screw. You see this tiny screw? It's a cylindrical screw, not a pivot, a pointed pivot screw. And you drop this on the floor, you might find it. On the backyard you won't. And now the key is loose. And of course there's no chance to play anymore. So if you find the screw, you might have the luck to put it back on, and you move it in there. And you can unit the screwdriver, that's your major tool. And now you see the springs are not in the proper place. So because the keys are not, they are falling off and down, you see. So that means you need the spring hook, and you go put back the springs in the proper place, and the flute is more or less repaired.
Okay.
The day is saved. But you might come back to the shop to control everything.
Okay.
If you have a bent key, can happen if you take the instrument the wrong way out of the case. You hold it on your key or whatever, you know. You hang on your jeans and you move the key a bit away. And I will force now the key to show you what happens if the key is not properly working. It's hard to see here. Let me check. Yeah. Now you see it's on the top side it's not closing. On the lower side it's closing, but on the top side not. And you can feel it even with the feeler gauge. That's a cigarette paper, and that's quite in. You feel there's no resistance here. I can move forward and back, and on this side it's pretty good. So what you can do, you take a little felt or a piece of thin leather and you put it back there, and you push down the key on this side where it's too high. Don't do it on your silver flute, because silver is so soft and you can easily break the joint back there. On student model flutes that's hard soldered, but on silver flutes that's much softer, and you might break the key. If you have a leak on the back side, you know, or just partial leak, like here, you know, there at 1 o'clock we have a small leak here, you know, and that means I should have to take off the key, take off the pad, and then I put a shimming paper just around between 1 and 2 o'clock. And that's what you have to check step by step, but that's work we have to do at the shop.
Okay. Now, in every professional flute player's bag, you will find cigarette paper. You'll find it in mine too.
Yeah.
What is the deal with cigarette paper?
Well, I mean, making cigarettes, as the paper says.
Well, the inside trick for being a great flutist, making your own cigarettes. I don't think so.
That's a long story. See, I mean, cigarette papers are okay. Many flutists think if you play a lot, you have you have wet pads inside them, you have maybe some moisture underneath, and then you have two possibilities. This paper here, that's called powder paper, and as it says, this paper is powdered. On one side is powdered, and I show you just on this and on this here. That's just like a cigarette paper. We call it cleaning paper. It's quite a soft paper. It's quite thin, and you can use both. In example, you have the E flat key, quite sticky, noisy. You can go underneath, put it and press the key, and then take it off. Never put it in and press and pull it out. Paper is quite a hard material, and you might destroy the skin of your pad. So always put it in, pull, and then turn it, do it on the other side, and you might take off the moisture and the dirt. The powder paper even soaks up the grease and the dirt, and you do the same like this. You go in, push it back, take it off, twist it, and do it again on every pad. Much better to do is simulate if you would blow into the instrument. If you blow into the instrument, you blow warm air into the tube, and it starts to condensate, and the condensate might start the sticking pads. So do it like you would play the flute. You and then go in between, push it down, twist, do it again on this side, and the problem is solved.
And no more.
Exactly.
We've talked about some basics of flute care and some things that you can do to repair the flute yourself and when you need to come into the shop. What about regular maintenance?
Well, if you buy an instrument here at Music Hook, we offer you a free warranty for 1 year. That means we repair the instrument within 1 year for free. And before you get out of this 1 year, we take the instrument back to the shop and we take it in part and we clean it and we adjust it. This work should be done every 2 years. That's what we call clean, oil and adjustment. COA. So that's the bridge you have. Clean, oil, adjust. And that's the work you have to do every 2 years.
Okay.
And you can't do it by yourself there. If you play regularly every day, an hour or so, after 10 years you should have an overhaul. That means we take off all the pads, taking the instrument in part, switching the keys, taking the play off, replacing all the pads, the felts, and you get back a new flute.
Now I'm thinking of my own. I've been in Switzerland now for 8 years. I've had this flute for 8 years.
Okay,
It seems like overhaul time is coming up.
That's right. And when we talk about the quality of pads, whatever, and you feel it by yourself as a player what's necessary or whatnot, and you will say, well, the response is not no good anymore. As we said before, the cork in the head joint, maybe this one have to be changed every 2 years or even stronger. It depends. If you move the cleaning rod all the time very hard to the cork, you move it back and the intonation is bad, and then you come back. And you see we have lots of instruments here that are waiting to get serviced. Customer works, of course, rental instruments, they have to be cleaned, so the child have a nice instrument when they start to have starting to play the instrument. And there are many old instruments, and some of the old instruments are still worth to overhaul them. Some of them, if you buy a flute in China for a couple Swiss francs, it's not worth to repair them. But it's a bit a waste of material, in my opinion. I mean, copper and zinc and all these things are not endless in our world.
You have to take care of them.
Yeah,
You can't
right.
just throw them away.
Right, exactly. So maybe the good thing would be maybe to invest a bit more in a decent student model than in a piece of junk.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So, when you're thinking of buying an instrument, make sure you get something really good. If you need some help taking care of your instrument, head over to your shop. Somebody there should be able to help you out and should be happy to do so. So, Marcus, thank you very much
Hey,
for
my
helping
pleasure.
me out and making this video.
Okay.
And if anything happens, well, I know where to go.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.